Hi, this is Sandra from Metal Wani. I'm here with Ross from HAKEN and Baard from LEPROUS. Surprisingly together, I'll admit. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing very well.
Aren't we, sir? Yes.
So in love. I feel the love. So you guys are on your second night of the North American tour. How was the first?
It was good. Yeah. We're playing all these new songs. Talking about HAKEN here. So yeah, it's always a bit nerve-wracking that first night. They got to hear it for the first time. Lucky guys. It went really well. Yeah, I'm quite happy about it.
Good. Well, the obviously Vector has been out for a couple days now.
Couple of days.
How is congratulations, exactly. How's the initial reaction going?
It's funny because we've been hearing it for the last year, so the release date's finally here. The reaction's been good as far as I can tell. I tend not to read too many reviews myself, but
Smart.
I'm really I don't know. It might have mixed reviews. I'm not sure, but we love the songs. We're really behind it, and they're really fun to play. So.
Excellent. Are you finding it difficult with every release to create a set list that appeals to both yourselves and fans?
It gets harder now because the repertoire's growing,
right,
and the set lengths stay the same,
right,
and we have long songs, so it's difficult to choose. But this tour is going to be heavily focused on the new record, with some surprises as well. So.
Didn't you guys do any set list that was 3 hours long or something? 2 hours and a half or something? Very long.
We've done something like that before, yeah.
In the US?
Very tiring. Yeah, I can't remember where.
You guys were just doing a lot of Cruise to the Edge stuff.
That's cool. Yes, true. Yeah, we get invited back 5 years in a row now, which is incredible. Yeah.
Do you like that?
It's great. It's kind of a...
So jealous.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Yeah, right.
So LEPROUS wants to do Cruise to the Edge, just so you know.
We really want LEPROUS there as well, yeah. It's great fun because you get to obviously work, perform, but it's also a holiday and you can bring your families, mingle with your fellow musicians as well, and it's all cool, yeah.
Very nice. I know, I would love to go myself one day, especially to see, if both of you were playing, book my ticket immediately. Yeah. So now on to some LEPROUS stuff. I heard in a previous interview that Einar said that Bilateral, which is, for the record, my favorite album to date, was progressive fans' most popular album because you hadn't found your sound yet. Do you feel like with Melina you found your sound? I know you weren't part of Bilateral. I am a fan of yours, for the record.
I was a big fan of LEPROUS and Bilateral actually before I joined them. And long story short, I got to know their previous drummer, and I said that if you ever need a step-in drummer, please let me know. And after I played with LEPROUS for about a year, we toured with HAKEN actually in the UK. That's very nice. Bilateral is an album I have a pretty nostalgic relation to, but. I think we definitely find the sound way more with Melina. Listening to Bilateral now, it's even I can start to, that's maybe a little bit too much, so, but again, everything has its charm, I guess, and sometimes it's, for other people, it's art by accident, I don't know, but I totally respect you for having Bilateral as the favorite album, because it's a very good album, in my opinion. Yeah. Not in Einar's opinion.
I've noticed. Why do you think he feels like that?
Sorry?
Why do you think he feels like that?
It's hard for me to say how he feels about it, but you have your different periods in life, both musically and personally and everything, and now we're growing. Same way as HAKEN will, in 10 years they're probably not sounding the same as they do now, and they already don't sound the same as they did 10 years ago.
As artists, you move on, don't you? I mean, we have some of the band have similar feelings about Aquarius, for example.
If you like Bilateral, you can listen to Bilateral,
Exactly.
But you maybe wished for more Bilateral kind of stuff, but it's very hard to. It's very hard to promise and live up to all expectations, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Well, that's why you have to do things for yourself personally and not worry so much about what the fans think. Yeah. But for
especially in this genre, I guess. It's way enough music they're following the trends and following what's popular and stuff. That's not something that is very known in this kind of genre, like HAKEN, LEPROUS, Devin Townsend. You just do your thing, Yeah.
Right. So particularly, I mean, your first album with LEPROUS was Congregation. And as we progress into Melina, is the sound okay here? Okay. Sorry. As we progress into Melina, I've noticed your style coming through.
Okay.
Whereas I feel like more with the congregation sort of stuff, you were sort of playing on Tobias Anderson's kind of style, and now you're coming through. Do you feel like that's an accurate statement, or how do you...
There's definitely something true there, because it was very difficult to step in on the drum chair or stool, whatever it's called in English. Yeah.
Throne, I believe it's called.
Throne sounds like, isn't that what you have on your head?
Crown.
Throne, I thought throne, okay.
Have you not seen Game of Thrones?
Okay, the drum, let's call it the drum crown. Going on the drum crown after Tobias, the previous drummer, was very hard. Why does the sound so extremely loud in here? But okay. That was... Should I just continue, or... yeah, you can edit it afterwards.
Bent Knee have just taken the stage, everyone.
Yeah, bent knee, everyone. Whatever. Yeah, I had to find a mixture between being true to him somehow, because he had such a big impact on Leprous' overall sound. But I was, and still is, a very different drummer from him, so I had to kind of find my way of being myself in some way. So in Congregation, I was very happy after that, but I totally see what you mean. I'm even more myself maybe on Melina than Congregation, even though I still feel like myself on Congregation, but maybe I cared more about living up to expectations of his sound. But again, I tried also on Congregation to just do my thing as much as possible, but with having him way more in mind than on Melina. Yeah. So a very big inspiration for me, for sure.
Fantastic. What are your other main inspirations when you're writing new material for Leprous?
I mean, composition-wise for the whole band, I'm not the songwriter now, but I know Einar is very a fan of Massive Attack. That's why we do a cover of Massive Attack now. It's also like Radiohead, Muse, lots of stuff, Agent Fresco maybe, and maybe a little bit of Haken as well, you know.
Don't do that.
And it's a lot of stuff. And when we personally play our different, when the bass player does his stuff, he has his like jazz world, pop world. I have my Gavin Harrison, Porcupine Tree background, gospel chops, stuff like that, more drum and bass, DJ kind of music as well, trying to, some chops here and there that you can easily hear is from that. And yeah, maybe that's why Leprous has such a sound that probably not so many other band has. It's not, yeah.
I think generally like prog songwriters have eclectic tastes in music, and you can hear all those influences.
I think that's the best part of progressive music in general, is that there are no limitations, there are no borders. You can listen to absolutely everything, and it'll come through in a way, and people are just, you know, that's the best part.
It does rely a lot on the audience being as open-minded. Not everyone is, but yeah, that's the idea.
So going to Vector, how do you feel? Because it's a shorter album.
It is.
Which I don't think is a bad thing, not because I don't like you, just because I think that a lot of people love the idea of double albums and continuing on forever and ever. But not only is it a shorter album, which makes it different from previous ones, but I feel like with the last two, actually I was listening to your old material, which I often do, and a friend of mine overheard and described it as Satanic Yes, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
It's a new one.
And vowed to inform you. And but in comparison to something like Affinity or Vector, I feel like it has a very different sound. I think the last sort of material is more, even though Affinity had a sort of 80s vibe, it was more futuristic sounding. Yeah. Where do you feel Vector sits in your discography personally?
I mean, look, we're always evolving. With every album, we set out with a plan, something we want to achieve, and with this one, it was to make a hard-hitting, solid, kind of rock metal album, you know. So it was always the intention for it to be quite concise, but to cram in as much as we could. And what we've done with the concept as well, we've left it quite open-ended, so there's potential for any storylines or whatever to evolve onto future records as well, you know. So yeah, I mean, with today's this day and age, a lot of the way music's consumed, generally speaking, is in singles and short attention spans, and we're just trying to like appeal to that side of the music consumption as well. So,
what's the difference between your writing on something like Visions and now?
It's a lot different in terms of the fact that it's a lot more collaborative than it used to be. With Aquarius and Visions, it started with Richard, and then the rest of the band would then develop things. So yeah, he would always have the initial framework on those records. So
and now it's more sort of a collective.
It definitely feels like there's more of all of us in the latest 2 records at least. Yeah.
It's pretty good. So you both have released relatively recently live albums, live DVDs. What was that experience like for you, as opposed to releasing an actual studio album, or what was it like for you to actually know that it was going to be released in a visual format when you were performing?
Lots of stress.
Lots of stress.
Yeah, that was cool. If we could choose now, I would probably choose to make the live DVD now, because we have way more material but we were just, at that time, we were so happy with the live production and everything we had after the Congregation tour, and we just thought, oh, it's so sad that we're never going to do this again, but now we're even more happy with what we do. So it's definitely different to make stuff sound good live than on the record. You probably have to think differently and maybe rearrange a little bit. Very different. But I think it's a while until we're gonna do a live DVD or Blu-ray, whatever, again.
Accumulate more material and then. Accumulate more material and then go out and.
Yeah, hopefully. We need to be very, very happy with the live production and everything. We are, but I think it's very expensive to make as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, as Baard was saying, when it's like red light syndrome, when the recording light's flashing, and then it becomes a bit more tense. You know you're being filmed, you know you're being recorded, and it's going to be documented forever. And we just wanted to draw the line on this 10 years of being a band as well, so it felt like the right time to put a live record out. But in order to overcome those nerves of recording a live album, we actually filmed quite a few nights on that tour, and then picked the best one with the best performance in the end. So that worked out. I'm really happy with the product.
It's good. So obviously you guys have collaborated on The Architect.
That's right.
Which is going to be fantastic to see live tonight, I would assume. What do you guys say to a future collaboration? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you think it's possible?
A future collaboration?
Yeah.
I'm always open to it. We love these guys.
Yeah.
And
maybe we'll do something cool during the tour as well.
Yeah.
Suddenly Ross played the drums for Leprous, I sing for Haken, you never know.
that'd be cool.
That's maybe a bit
I'm a terrible drummer, but you know.
Yeah, I'm a great singer, so.
It's progressive.
That's it. There you
It's
go.
progressive.
Art for art's sake, huh?
Exactly. So you have a cello you picked up, who is from around here.
Yeah, it's
Raphael.
Cello, it's also a cello player. Yeah.
Well, okay, sorry.
No.
I phrased that really badly, but yes. But in Raphael, how is that going? Do you think that's going to be a more permanent part?
Yeah, we haven't thought about stopping using him. It's a pretty cool story actually. 2 years ago in Ottawa, he was a local support, and I don't remember if it was Einar or someone else that was going down to say, "Hey, you're playing overtime." Because we were had to catch the next show, and it's very important that you stick to the times, but then it was just blown away by the solo stuff, looping and rhythmical, harmonical skills, and just everything he did. That was just wow. And then we thought about using some strings on the next album, and then he was the obvious choice to ask, and from that we just asked him if he wanted to join live as well, and and he's Canadian. Just as you.
He lives here.
Yeah. So we haven't planned stopping using him. That's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. That's very promising.
When you stop using him, can we have him?
Yeah. Sure.
That'd be something to look forward to. Just one big double album, I think. Just smash everything together.
Actually, we had, I had an idea prior to this tour that Haken would cover a LEPROUS song.
Oh!
And LEPROUS would cover a Haken song and then have it as a product so we can really. It just there was no time. It never came.
Yeah, I remember that was up for. That would be a lot.
There's always
That would be a lot of work for us, at least. You have so much stuff to remember. Yeah. Ooh.
But the Valley would be my choice. That's a killer
That
song.
would be very cool for sure.
I'd actually kind of like to hear you sing The Cloak, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get practicing.
Be pretty. I'm gonna take credit for that.
Arno's a fabulous singer, so he's it's a tough act to follow. Yeah.
Well, speaking of singing every single night, how do you guys keep in shape when you're, especially you were just playing in Europe and immediately took on the North American leg of the tour? Are you tired? Like, how do you keep in shape, both of you?
Yesterday I used the Haken sofa backstage and slept very much there while Haken played, because I was this section is so cool. Yeah, whatever. But I was pretty jet lagged yesterday, and lots of people was, and some of us haven't sleeping a lot because we had to fix a lot with the border crossing to Canada, and I had the pleasure of sleeping, but now we're on. Now we're not jet lagged.
Rest is important, and eating well, and if we can fit in the exercise, maybe, but not always time for that.
Of course. So what's next for both of you after this tour?
Well, we got a month of this, and then we got another bunch of tours coming up after Christmas. South America, Europe. We'll be doing Cruise to the Edge again, and
when do you do South America?
February. No, January.
January.
Yeah.
We do it in March.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to that. Yeah. So South America, and we have a couple of other tours planned as well, smaller tours. They're not official yet. But and the new album, of course, starting to get that, working on that.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Hopefully you guys can hear all of this over Bent Knee. You should probably check out all of the bands involved here. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show, enjoy the tour.
Thank you.
Hopefully talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you.